What's up, everyone? Today, we're diving into one of the biggest system updates in all of history. Seriously, we're talking about the huge level up Europe went through, jumping from the Middle Ages straight into the Renaissance. This was a total game changer for how people thought, how they created, and even how they saw themselves. So let's get into it.
All right, before we jump in, let's play a what-if game. What if one company, just one, controlled the entire internet, like every single website, every TikTok, every meme you send your friends, all of it, controlled by one source that gets to make all the rules? Sounds kind of wild, right? Like something out of a movie? But believe it or not, that's kind of what the Middle Ages was like.
Okay, so let's check out this first chapter, Life on a Strict Server. We're going to look at the rules of the game in this medieval world. See, it was a time with super clear social structures, almost like everyone knew their exact role in some giant real-life strategy game. So, at the very top of the leaderboard, you had the princely court. You can basically think of it as the ultimate influencer house. The prince? He was the biggest creator, and every single thing he did, every party, every tournament, every public appearance, was a huge flex. It was all about showing off just how rich and powerful they were to everyone watching. Now, if you were a knight, you were definitely a high-level player. But you couldn't just do whatever you wanted. Nope, you had to follow a super strict code of conduct for the server. And this code had a name you've probably heard before, Chivalry. So what was Chivalry? It was basically the official rulebook from knights. And it wasn't just about being good at fighting. It meant you had to be brave, you had to be super loyal to your leader, and, this is a big one, you had a duty to protect people who were weaker than you. It was like a 24/7 guide on how to be a good dude, not just a good warrior. Okay, so you're probably wondering, who was making all these rules? Who was controlling all the information? Basically, who was the ultimate admin on this medieval server? Well, let's find out. The answer? The Catholic Church. And you gotta understand, this wasn't just a building you went to on Sundays. No way. It was more like a giant mega corporation. It owned tons of land, it had its own laws, and it had the final say on, well, pretty much everything, from what you were supposed to believe to how a king should run his country. And here's a really important thing to get. Information moved so slowly. The people in charge of all the knowledge were monks. These guys were literally the human hard drives of the Middle Ages. They'd spend their whole lives, day in and day out, copying every single book by hand. I mean, the dedication was insane, but their download speed, let's just say it was about 1 page at a time. But then, things started to change. A whole new way of thinking started to take hold. It was like a massive new expansion pack just dropped for the entire continent of Europe, unlocking all these new features and skills. This was the Renaissance. And man, this was a complete 180, a total shift in the mindset. So, in the Middle Ages, everything was about God and the afterlife. But during the Renaissance, people started focusing on life right now, here on Earth. The focus went from the group being everything to the individual actually mattering. And instead of just following the old rules, people started asking a ton of new questions. The operating system behind this new way of thinking was something called humanism. And this was a radical idea. It was the belief that people, you and me, were capable of doing amazing things through learning and being creative. It wasn't just about waiting for divine inspiration. It was all about unlocking your own potential. So all of a sudden, the goal wasn't just to be super religious. The new character build was to be a well-rounded person. It actually became cool to be good at a bunch of different things, like art and science and philosophy. The whole point was to develop all your skills and become the best version of you that you could be. So how did all this amazing art and science actually get made? Well, you had these super rich and powerful families, like the Medici family in Italy. And you can think of them as the Mr. Beast of their time. Seriously. They'd use their massive wealth to sponsor artists and thinkers, funding these epic projects. They're the reason we have masterpieces from guys like Leonardo da Vinci and Michelangelo. All this new energy was awesome, right? But there was still one huge problem, a major bottleneck. Information was still painfully slow. But then, one invention came along that would be the ultimate game changer. It was about to blow the whole system wide open. Yeah, remember our friends the monks, copying every book by hand? Because of them, getting just one book was a massive deal. It took forever, it cost a fortune, and for pretty much everyone, it was just impossible. And that invention was the printing press. Created by Johannes Gutenberg back in the 1400s, this machine was about to do for ideas what TikTok does for a dance challenge. It was going to make them go viral. The way it worked was actually pretty simple, but totally genius. You'd arrange these little metal letters to spell out whatever you wanted. Then you'd cover them in ink and press a piece of paper on top. And the magic part? You could do it over and over and over again, cranking out thousands of copies super fast. And the effect was mind-blowing. The printing press was basically the internet of the 1400s. All of a sudden, ideas could zip across Europe in just weeks, not years. Books got way cheaper, so way more people could actually get them and learn to read. And for the first time ever, the church's total control over information was broken. So here's the main takeaway, the most important thing to remember. The Renaissance, supercharged by the printing press, was this epic shift. The world went from a place where one authority told you what to think to a world full of individual ideas, where you could read, learn, and make up your own mind. And that leaves us with one last thing to think about. If one invention could totally change the world back then, it kind of makes you wonder, right? What's the printing press for your generation? What's the one piece of tech that's changing everything for you right now?